Hello, I hope you're doing well. Valentine's Day is just around the corner, and this is the time of year where content creators start publishing their recommendations for the most seductive, the most powerful, the most magnetic fragrances. And I decided I might hop onto the bandwagon and do my own version of that. So this video is going to cover 5 cherry fragrances plus 1 or 2 bonus fragrances that I think would really fit into the theme of this video. And I'm choosing cherry as a note specifically because in my personal experience, cherry has been the #1 fragrance note that people are drawn to in a romantic sense. So whenever I've worn cherry in romantic situations, people seem to really love that. And I have here some cherry fragrances that have passed the test of me. To be completely honest, not every single cherry fragrance is going to be one I actually like. I don't automatically go for cherry fragrances, I go for the more unusual ones. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you my top favorite cherry fragrances. Some of these have been in my collection for years, others are relatively new. So I'm excited to share this with you, but if this is your first time on this channel, hello, my name is Anya. I absolutely love fragrances. I talk about them here 5 times a week, Monday through Friday. I also publish additional content on TikTok and Instagram under the username ANECHKAFRAGRANCES, and I do have a podcast actually called The Fragrance Report. I launch a new podcast episode every Wednesday on Spotify, and I also publish it on YouTube as well. Since I figured we'd stay on theme for this week, I'm going to be doing a Valentine's Day inspired fragrance podcast talking about Valentine's Day fragrances or aphrodisiac fragrances and scents throughout history. So if you're interested, definitely do check back in tomorrow when that podcast episode will be available. I will say this, in my personal opinion, you should not be wearing a fragrance just to impress someone. I don't like that line of thinking. I have liked it even less lately because I don't think you should be trying to spray on expensive perfume just to impress someone that hasn't even demonstrated that they deserve to be in your presence. That might sound a little bit mean, but I don't care. Like, there you go. Like, if you, like, it doesn't matter if they're romantic or not, you should not be wearing a fragrance just to impress someone. A fragrance at the end of the day is for you, and if you're trying to impress someone, it should be because of you, not because of what you're wearing, the fragrance you decide to put on. And most of these fragrances I did not pick with the male gaze in mind, by the way. Most of these fragrances I do think that would be greatly suited for a Valentine's Day theme or Valentine's Day like kind of umbrella, so to speak. I do think all these fragrances smell wonderful and smell really unusual and really interesting and really beautiful, but I didn't necessarily pick all these fragrances just because I'm thinking of a romantic sense. I think you should enjoy what you're wearing, and these fragrances I do think would be terrific options. If you are looking, by the way, for like a go-to first date, second date, third date fragrance uh, that doesn't smell offensive and also doesn't necessarily cost a lot of money, I would definitely go for Pure Poison by Dior. I know this is not a cherry fragrance, it's definitely not, but this is a perfume that's a little bit musky. It has some white florals with gardenia and jasmine, and it also has some citruses at the top. Without fail, whenever I've worn this fragrance on a first, second, or third date, I have received a compliment on this, and this is just one of those like signature scent-worthy fragrances. So if you're looking for something really straightforward that's really easily accessible, this is a great option to try. Just saying, but the rest of these fragrances are going to be cherry or cherry adjacent. Let's start off with a new fragrance that I've been absolutely obsessed with. I've had this fragrance for a few days now, and as I have noticed this fragrance develop, the cherry becomes more and more prominent. It's definitely one of the more unusual cherries I have smelled, and it's actually quite like a gothic cherry. This is the cherry that a Morticia Addams character would be wearing. So if you're looking for your Gomez, and you want to be Morticia Addams, then this might be the fragrance for you. But this is Kheir Pretty Please, and this is an extrait de parfum. This is from the brand Kheir, which is a Middle Eastern brand, and I absolutely love their options. I've had the travel spray set, so this is, or the set that they have right now currently as their discovery set, is a set that features all 4 of their fragrances in this size. So if you want to be able to try the entire range, I would definitely recommend getting the discovery set that they have going on. I think it's like around $200, but I think that's totally fair for what you're getting and the quality. I think their fragrances are absolutely phenomenal. But Pretty Please is definitely one of the more unique cherries that I have smelled. This fragrance has notes of Let's look it up. It has notes of red wine, cherry, almond, and plum, a mid of orris, jasmine, heliotrope, magnolia, and then a base of tonka, labdanum, sandalwood, white musk, cedarwood, vetiver, and oud. This fragrance is definitely one of the more unusual cherry fragrances I have smelled. It smells like a dark cherry. There's definitely depth to it. It doesn't just have that juicy cherry and that's it. It's definitely not one of those ambery cherries that we've seen so many of. This is just genuinely an unusual, dark smelling cherry. Let's see, what are the additional notes? Like, yeah, there's also red wine in here. I definitely get where that red wine is coming from because in this particular fragrance, the red wine plays with the cherry notes and you definitely do get that bitterness, that dryness of the red wine. This is not a light, fruity, juicy red wine. This is the kind of red wine that you'd have with a heavy meat. This is a dark, seductive wine scent with that cherry. It's definitely not for the faint of heart. It's definitely not a blind buy safe fragrance. This is one of those more unusual perfumes that I'd recommend trying before you buy. Full stop, this is one of the more unusual cherry fragrances, so do not buy this blind. But I personally have really been intrigued by this one. This is a really unusual cherry fragrance. And if you're interested in something different, if you're kind of tired of where the cherry trend is going and you want something extra special, this is a really good one. Remember at the beginning of this video when I said that you should only really wear a beautiful, expensive fragrance for someone who deserves it? Or I think I said that you shouldn't wear a fragrance just to impress someone. This is one of those fragrances that I was talking about because this is one of the more expensive fragrances in this video. This is from Byron and it's called Mula Mula. So it's literally, the direct translation I believe is money money. So this is one of those more high-end, expensive smelling perfumes. This is a powerhouse fragrance. It's a beast mode perfume. A little bit goes a long way. So this full-size bottle I think is like around $250, $300 to my recollection, and then they do sell smaller travel size versions for I think $75. So I would say if you're looking to get something on a budget, I'd get the smaller size to start off with because this fragrance definitely is a powerhouse. A little bit goes a long way. You will definitely not use it up quickly whatsoever unless you're willing to choke someone. But this is a perfume that I would say is cherry adjacent. So it doesn't necessarily have the explicit notes of cherry, but it's definitely a gourmand fragrance that in my mind kind of leans close to that category. So this has top notes of caramel, peach, raspberry, and strawberry, a mid of ginger, pink pepper, and labdanum, and then a base of vanilla, musk, oud, and patchouli. This fragrance smells like luxury. It smells like luxury. It smells like fruity luxury, but I love how the other notes like labdanum, ginger, oud make this fragrance balanced enough so it's not just focused on the sweet gourmand notes. Because I think that at a certain point, if you're paying a certain amount for a fragrance, it shouldn't smell like a typical gourmand. It should have something, it should have a special twist that makes it extra special. That's my opinion with what I add to my collection and what I think is worth buying. Because there are so many gourmand fragrances that I love, but sometimes you want a gourmand fragrance that smells like luxury, and there are not a lot of expensive fragrances that do that. But this one does. This is a luxury smelling gourmand perfume, and I definitely do think that the quality of the oud in this fragrance adds to that because I can still smell this perfume even though I just sprayed it in the air just a few seconds ago. This is a powerhouse. It will last the entire day. So I would say use this one with caution. This definitely is an extra special fragrance. Mula Mula by Byron, iconic. This is amazing, chef's kiss. And I do think the fruity notes in here definitely lend to that kind of cherry-esque sensation. This is not necessarily going to be like a cherry fragrance, it's not, but I do think that this fits into that category of being like a rich, beautiful, luscious, like gourmand fragrance that kind of like leans into that cherry category, if that makes any sense. But Mula Mula, Mula Mula, Mula Mula, Mula Mula by Byron, this is iconic. There was no way I could do this video without mentioning Venom of Love by Navitus. This is a beautiful fragrance. One of the best cherry fragrances that I have smelled, and this is, I think, one of the first that really embraced this trend of cherry. This was created in collaboration with Paulina Char, who I love. She is such a sweet person, so genuine and very down to earth and absolutely wonderful. But Venom of Love is, I would say, one of my favorite influencer collaborations that Navitus has done. And this is a stunning fragrance that has definitely stood the test of time because I've had this for several years and I've loved it. So this perfume has notes of sour cherry, liquor, and bitter almond at the top, a mid of cherry, chocolate, Turkish rose, Egyptian jasmine, and then a base of almond, amberwood, vanilla, and whipped cream. This perfume just smells like, to put it very simply, it smells like a chocolate-covered cherry. So I do think, I love that. I love that so much. I do think that if you love gourmands, okay, it's useful to consider putting a really beautiful cherry in your collection, like a just gorgeous, boozy, maybe chocolatey cherry in your perfume. It doesn't necessarily have to be like an ambery cherry. I actually do have an ambery cherry in this video, but it's definitely more on the affordable side, and I do think it's a great, like, you know, for a second, third day fragrance. But if you're looking for like a luxe cherry, like a luxe boozy chocolatey cherry, this is going to be one of the options you need to try. Get a decant of this, try it out in their discovery set. Get your nose on this perfume because if you're looking for a really beautiful cherry, this is just it. Like, I wear this fragrance so much, and it's one of those powerhouse fragrances. So like my dent is definitely like not as large because this is one of those perfumes that you don't need a lot of. So my dent is like here. So this is a perfume that I genuinely enjoy. I love this perfume, and I just gravitate towards it over and over and over again. I think one of the fragrance videos I do want to film this week will talk about fragrances that are more cold weather appropriate that I want to wear more before it gets too warm. And this perfume is definitely a fragrance that I want to get more and more use out of because it's truly, truly special and amazing, and it's really only appropriate for the cold weather. But Venom of Love by Navitus, this is iconic, amazing. This is my favorite fragrance that Navitus has released in collaboration with Paulina, and I've smelled all her fragrances. And I do think that people have like different favorites and different fragrances that they go back to. But even though this was released in 2022, this is like now, what, 3 years ago, this is still the fragrance, or it's still one of my favorite fragrances that I keep coming back to. If you watch my channel on a regular basis, you know that if I like a perfume, I will keep on talking about it regardless of when it was released. And this is prime example of that. So Venom of Love, oh my gosh, I'm stuttering. Venom of Love by Navitus. This is a beautiful fragrance and totally iconic. Next up, I have Reinvented's Ethereal Soul. Now, I tried this fragrance and I fell in love with it. Not gonna lie, I wasn't expecting to fall in love with it the way I did because it's another cherry fragrance, and you know how picky I am with cherry perfumes, but they have a black currant note in here that adds a bit of an unusual factor to it that I absolutely just love. This travel size was gifted to me by the brand, but I will be buying the fragrance. I will be buying the fragrance. It's on the wish list. This fragrance is a perfume that contains notes of cherry, bergamot, and lemon at the top, a mid of blackcurrant, raspberry, iris, freesia, and jasmine, and then a base of moss, musk, and amber. I do think that that base with the moss and the amber really helps this fragrance last all day because this is a nuclear fragrance. A little bit goes a long way. It'll last the entire day, and it smells absolutely divine. It's like a juicy, fruity cherry, and the black currant just adds something to it that I absolutely love. This is beautiful. It's beautiful, definitely one of those extra special perfumes. So yes, Reinvented's Ethereal Soul, I love this fragrance. So let's talk about a more affordable option. This is honestly a great fragrance to wear for the first, second, or third date in my personal opinion. This is Banana Republic's Dark Cherry and Amber. So as the name suggests, this is an ambery cherry, but it does have a note, I think, notes of freesia and cherry blossom here. So it's a light, playful cherry fragrance, and whenever I smell it, I instantly feel a sense of nostalgia because I've worn this fragrance for years. I have gone through so much wearing this fragrance. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it's just like a playful fragrance. Like this is a good playful perfume. Let me look up the notes so I can tell you what it smells like. But you can also get this. You can get this at like TJ Maxx, discount stores. It's also available online for like $25. It's yeah, it's really affordable, and it's a good option just to have in your perfume arsenal, so to speak. So this fragrance has notes of cherry and pink freesia at the top, a mid of cherry blossom and praline, and then a base of red amber and cedar. It's really quite beautiful, super easy to wear. For a while, I was wearing it as a layering base with a lot of my fragrances, but I definitely think that this is an essential, especially if you're looking to venture out and add some more cherry fragrances to your collection. Is it super unusual, niche smelling? Not necessarily, but it's just one of those perfumes that's become a mainstay in my collection because I genuinely love using it. It makes me happy. I go back for it over and over again. It's one of those happy, playful fragrances that's just an essential in my personal collection. So, Dark Cherry and Amber by Banana Republic. And finally, I have a fragrance that's an absolutely beautiful, unusual smelling cherry perfume. You might know that I've talked about this fragrance for ages. I mean, it feels like ages, but I've only had this fragrance for, I would say, a month or two, but I've featured it in so many videos. You are probably sick of seeing it, but this is Bloody Wood by Liquide Imaginaire. This is a really unusual cherry fragrance with the red wine note. If you remember, I talked about Pretty Please by Kheir, but Pretty Please is definitely a darker interpretation of the red wine and cherry combination. Bloody Wood is not as dark. In fact, it's lighter, it's more bubbly, it's more, dare I say, playful. It's definitely a different experience. These are totally different fragrances that have completely different interpretations of the cherry and red wine combo. So let's look into the scent pyramid. So we have top notes of red wine, rose, and violet, a mid of red wine, cherry, fruity notes, and raspberry, and then a base of woody notes, oak, and sandalwood. So I definitely do get the woody notes, especially in the dry down, but I also do want to note that this fragrance has a sparkling red wine note. So this perfume almost smells like a sparkling dessert wine. So that's something I definitely experienced with this fragrance with that woody base. So it's one of those perfumes that I just love wearing on an everyday basis. It's genuinely a fragrance that I enjoy, and I wanted to put it in this video because it's one of those beautiful cherry fragrances that I have in my collection and that I very much love. So, Bloody Wood by Liquide Imaginaire. Alright, so that's it for this video. Those are all the fragrances I wanted to mention. Just wanted to reiterate, you should not be wearing a fragrance just to impress someone else. But if you do want like a good first, second, or third date fragrance for Valentine's Day even, I would go for Banana Republic's Dark Cherry and Amber. This is really good. If you already have it in your collection or if you have something similar, this would be great. But also Pure Poison by Dior. Again, this is not a cherry fragrance, but if you just want like a good like first, second, third date fragrance or a nice signature scent, this is like a compliment magnet if that matters to you. There you go, Pure Poison. This is amazing. But yeah, those are all the fragrances. Let me know if there's anything that stood out to you. What fragrance are you wearing this Valentine's Day? But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Bye.